Thank you, French, but shalom. Good to see you. Always good to see you. Greetings to everybody out there. I had a great question about Aaron and the scapegoat sacrifice from last week. I was asked about the laying on of his hands on the goat's head. And according to Rashi, the laying on of hands by the witnesses is the confirmation of guilt. And that's why you will often read about the laying on of the hands on the sacrifices. That was a great question, Jackie. Thank you very much. And if you have any other questions, just please send them along. Now, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And of course, at one point, that could have been taken in a very negative way, but you don't seem to hear it that way that often anymore. Now, mothers are special. They nurture. They protect and defend. They unconditionally love. They seem to know everything. And we turn to them for so much. And Mamma Mia, the world is full of songs about mothers. No, I would not give you false hope on this strange and mournful day, but the mother and child reunion is only a motion away. Now, there's tons of songs about mothers. I've asked before and I'll ask again, why should we need a mandated day to honor our mothers, fathers, grandparents, veterans, or the earth? Are these not things we should carry gratitude in our hearts for all the time? We talked about gratitude last time, about how important it is to tell the people that, mean something in your life, that they mean something in your life. Friends, I try and be grateful for all the wonderful things in life and for all you wonderful friends out there, and for all the fantastic things that take place regularly in your lives every day. Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. Do you all remember that from the Golden Girls? And I hear there may be a Lego Golden Girls soon. The things they do with Lego now. Or there's the Paul McCartney tune, Gratitude. I'm so grateful for everything you've ever given me. How can I explain, what it means to be loved by you, perhaps not one of his best, but the sentiment is there. Be grateful and express your gratitude to the people in your life, not just because there is a day for them, but just because they are who they are. And I see that the CCAR, the Central Conference of American Rabbis, which is the Reform Congress Rabbi Group, has a pair of new High Holy Day books coming out this year. The first new ones in probably about 40 years. And from what I've seen, they are pretty interesting. They are really striving to be gender neutral. And so some of the prayers will seem a little bit different to you. And friends, as is so often the case, the title of the Parsha has nothing to do with what the Parsha is about, and that is the case here. Emor, say. Now, more than anything else, although it has a lot in it, as do they all, what this Parsha is a mini calendar setting out the cycle of holy days. And the concept of a cycle is really an important one. It starts with the Sabbath, and then goes directly to the three gathering festivals. And we're busily counting the Omer to one of them right now, but that is another topic. 6 days work shall be done, and the seventh day is a Sabbath, a ceasing. A holy assembly you shall not do any work. It's a Sabbath to the Lord in all your homes. Friends, Leviticus 23:4 outlines the cycle, commencing with the short cycle of Sabbath, a weekly cycle, and now moving into the bigger picture of the annual Holy Day cycle. These are the Lord's fixed times, holy assemblies, that you shall proclaim at their appointed time, Mo'adim, fixed or appointed times. The appointed times can be called a cycle because they recur in a cyclical fashion, creating patterns and rhythms in time. The Sabbath creates a weekly cycle, and the festivals occur annually, creating an annual cycle. And each appointed time teaches unique lessons about sanctification and our relationship with God pertaining to that particular holiday. Each time we keep one of God's appointed times, holidays, it is an opportunity to spiritually elevate ourselves, drawing ever closer to God. Now, the Torah refers to the tabernacle as the Ohel Moed, a term that shows up in most translations most often as tent of meeting. Now the word moed can refer to an appointed time or place. The tabernacle was God's appointed place in the Torah to meet with man at his appointed times. And we're presented with a list of God's appointed times, the Moedim, in this parsha. They are the holy days which he appointed to meet with his people, Israel. Now, since the destruction of the temple, the appointed place has been removed, but the appointed times do continue. We're told in Leviticus 23:14 that the appointed times are to be a perpetual statute throughout your generations in all your dwelling places. Now that means that they're never to be canceled. They are never obsolete or done away with. They are to be celebrated and observed wherever we may happen to be living. Now in the first month, on the 14th of the month, between the two evenings, is the Lord's Pesach, Passover. And don't forget, the real meaning of Pesach was halting. And on the 15th day of this month is the Lord's festival of unleavened bread. You shall eat unleavened bread 7 days. And you shall count from the day after the Sabbath, from the day of your bringing the sheaf for an elevation offering, 7 Sabbaths, 7 weeks. You shall count until the day after the 7th Sabbath, 50 days. And you shall bring forward a new grain offering to the Lord. Speak to the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, on the 1st of the month, you shall have a ceasing, a commemoration with horn blasting, a holy assembly. In the 7th month, on the 1st of the month. This holiday is not named, but coming 9 days before Yom Kippur and involving the blasting of a horn, it is clearly the holiday that is now known as the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah. It's not known by this name in the Torah, because as this verse indicates, it came in the 7th month of the calendar. In the Torah's calendar, the first month comes in the spring, and the first holiday is Passover. Just on the 10th of the 7th month, it is the Day of Atonement. You shall have a holy assembly, and you shall degrade yourselves. A very interesting introduction. Ak, just. This term of special emphasis introduces commands concerning certain holidays. Sabbath, Passover, Day of Atonement, Sukkot. And friends, those happen to be the appointed times. Speak to the children of Israel, saying, on the 15th day of the 7th month is the festival of booths. 7 days for the Lord, booths. In Hebrew, Sukkot. Now, this term is used to describe the function of the paroquet, the pavilion that covers over the ark, reflecting simultaneously both the simple makeshift dwellings that housed the Israelites in the wilderness period, or the clouds, as some people think, and the beautiful, most sacred structure that houses the ark. And on the first day you shall take fruit of appealing trees, branches of palms, boughs of thick trees, and willows of a wadi. Now this, of course, is the lulav and etrog. We, of course, use a citrus fruit as the lulav, this big giant lemon, but it says the fruit of appealing trees. So, probably technically, any fruit from an appealing tree would do. It doesn't have to be the giant lemon. And when you reap your land's harvest, you shall not finish your field's corner when you harvest, and you shall not gather your harvest gleaning. You shall leave them for the poor and for the alien, the laying out of the days of commemoration with compassion, humanity, dignity, built right into the cycle of life. The laws of the holidays, as expressed in Leviticus, reflect a concern with order and arrangement. God tells Moses to tell the people what the nation's holidays are to be. Sabbath, the holiday of unleavened bread, an unnamed holiday relating to first fruits, an unnamed holiday involving horn blowing, the Day of Atonement, and the holiday of booths. In each case, the text gives information on how to celebrate the holiday. In all but one case, it gives the date on which the holiday is to be celebrated. And friends, interestingly, it does not make any historical associations for the holidays, not even connecting the Feast of Unleavened Bread to the Exodus from Egypt, nor the Sabbath to God's rest at the end of creation. The main concern, as with the food and purity laws in Leviticus, is not to explain the background and purpose of the holidays. These things are a concern of Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, but rather to instruct the people on how to observe them properly. Leviticus is a different type of book. And this part of Leviticus in particular is known as the Holiness Code. It's the true establishment of the power of the cult. And make no mistake, the priesthood of biblical man was quite the cult. Now, in talking about the priests, it says, "And you shall regard him as holy because he is bringing forward your God's bread. He shall be holy to you, because I, the Lord, who makes you holy, am holy." And this is repeated over and over again. Now, it always seems odd to read so much about the priests and the power and sanctity of the priests, since Judaism is no longer a priestly religion, and we don't think of Judaism as being a religion of priests. We think of it as a rabbinic one. But the role of the priest was special, and the role of the high priest, HaKohen HaGadol, the biggest priest, was even more special. And even though we know its lineage was to be only via the eldest son, the only ones we actually can be certain of are Aaron and his son Eleazar. After that, we simply trust in the process. Until now, where we actually cannot be certain of who the Kohanim actually are. Now, we're constantly told there are degrees of holiness. All the people are holy, but the priests still are holy in a singular way because of their role. Yes, all the people are holy, but some are more holy than others. And friends, it's not necessarily that they are holier people per se, but they have a role to play that centers on the sacredness of the cult. So it is more in their role and in their expectations. And we will see this particularly during the Korah rebellion in Numbers. And like the animals for sacrifice, which cannot have a blemish, so the priest must also be unblemished. There's nothing like equality. Now, this Parsha is an amazing capsule of Jewish holy days. There are not that many, and they are all special. And they're all listed right here. And friends, there's two other extremely interesting things, almost glazed over in most commentaries about this Parsha, that I just want to briefly mention. Now, the first is that here we see that the Bible confirms patrilineal descent. Now, in every case, the woman and the children take the ethnic and religious identity of the woman's husband. Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, Rachel, Zipporah, and their children. And all the sons of Levite fathers are Levites, regardless of the tribal origins of their mothers. Identification in the Torah is patrilineal. It is in post-biblical Judaism that identification came to be based on the mother. The shift to matrilineal descent took place during the time of Nehemiah, who opposed marriages of Jewish men to women from certain other groups, instructing that their children be excluded. Now, identification by patrilineal descent, in addition to matrilineal descent, not in place of it, is at present a matter of dispute among all the movements of Judaism. Friends, it took until 1983 before the Reform movement accepted patrilineal descent, and something which the conservative and Orthodox branches still outright reject. And I know a lot of Reform Jews who simply reject it out of hand. Now, the second interesting piece of halakhic lore in this section is in Leviticus 24:16, where this tiny little story takes place. The community shall surely stone him, sojourner and native alike, for his invoking the name. He shall be put to death. This formulation, which appears to hold the mere invoking of the name of God as a sin, led later on to a general ban against pronouncing the name of the Lord, except by the high priest on the Day of Atonement in the Holy of Holies. So this is where that whole thing began. Okay. Leviticus is a very interesting book, and this section is all about ritual for holidays. It's a book for priests, extolling the power of the priestly cult. And as you continue to read, don't think of the Torah as a linear progression in your mind. Numbers would be a much more linear adjunct than Leviticus to be here. This is probably a book which came much later, inserted by priests to cement the power of the priests and to highlight the cycle of holy days. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in the circle game. The world is sacred, and so is everything in it. Express your gratitude. Friends, light a candle, make a wish. Celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Live free, be free. Honor your freedom. Be well, be happy, be blessed. Share and honor the light and all who live in the light, and continue to shine. Continue to send everyone you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace. Pray for freedom for everyone, an end to terror and hatred. And remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together, we celebrate each other, we love each other. Mothers, happy Mother's Day to all of you out there. Thank you all. Love you. See you all next time. Wishes do come true. Be well, be happy. Bless you all. Shabbat Shalom. Take care. Bye.